Alright, so here is the script that I'm submitting for the little summer competition that we're having with our class. So basically the whole point of the script is I realized at the end of last semester, as I was having to animate with 2 full character rigs, that it can get really messy sometimes, right? Like in this scene right here, some of, the controls of the goblin are maybe a little inside the skeleton's head, or maybe some of the skeletons are inside the goblin, and there's several things under the ground, and it can all just be really messy to try and find your controls and look for them in the actual space. But I do still like having the actual controls on the rigs because I think, for me personally, that just works sometimes. So I created this script to, and this should work with anyone's rigs that have been created, not my own or anything, just as long as you have some sort of naming convention. Basically how it works is, you select whichever groups you're wanting to work with. You say, okay, grab selected rigs. Right, so I selected those 2 groups. Those are my rigs. And then in here, you have the required text for something to be considered a control within that group. And within here, you have something to exclude. So if there's, specific thing that follows some of the other naming convention, but you don't want it included in here, you can put that in here. Right, so you have prefix, infix, and suffixes for both of these. But now if I say control rig UIs, creates one for both the goblin and the skeleton, right? So let's put the goblin away. We can get rid of that. So basically how this works is I have a list of all of the skeleton's controls, right? And I can go through here and I can select a control, right? I can select the hip, for instance. So let's say that I have this selected and I select the hip control here. It adds it to my selection, right? So I can go through here, I can click on a whole bunch of things, but first red flag, this is super messy, right? So the solution to that is I can say, okay, well, right now I'm just looking for arm controls, right? So I search up arm controls. Right now nothing's showing up because you can check on or off whether or not it's case sensitive. So if I just check for arm controls, then you can see here I have every control that has arm in it. So I'm looking for my arm control. I realize, oh, wait a second, I'm looking for right arm stuff, right? So let's say I just want to look for the right arm. Well, if I search, look at my bar here, it gets a lot smaller. Now I have so much more stuff. The reason for that is because basically it's looking for anything that has arm or anything that has R underscore in it, right? If I just want to look for things that have both arm and R underscore, I can say include all tags. And now you can see selection is much smaller. Now I'm not only am I looking at arm controls only, I'm looking at specifically right arm controls, right? So I have all of these right arm controls, and this is super nice, but if I want to use this all the time, and I don't want to keep on having to go back and look for all my right arm controls, so I can say, okay, I'm going to check all that are shown, right? Or suppose I want to exclude 1 or 2 of them. I can do that too, right? But for now, I'll just check all that are shown, and I'll name this group. So I'm going to say right arm group, right? And I can create both a set and a group. So now we have 2 tabs over here, sets and groups. The set, what the set does is it basically creates a little set that when you click the button, it'll select all of the controls that were included when creating that set. So right now, boom, all of the right arm controls, right? Or if you want to have a group, then I have all of the controls right here. So I say right arm group, and it has all of the little controls that I included in here, right? And if I want to, I can actually collapse this or expand it. And you'll see that becomes a little more apparent if I add another group. So let's make one for the left arm. And we'll search for that. First, I'm actually going to clear the checks on the other ones. And I will select all that here. So now I have 2 sets, and I have 2 groups. So I can scroll between these 2, or I can close this, close that. Right, and then as I get more and more stuff in here, I can have a whole bunch of different sets. So I can have one for each limb, I can have one for, whatever. And if I want to, I can even say, okay, so all of these are checked right now. Now I'm going to look for anything that says left and finger, right? And I'm going to check all these, and I'm going to say this is the real left arm group. So now the real left arm group has both all of the arm controls and all of the finger controls. So even though you couldn't see it, right, if I clear this search bar, everything is still checked whether or not you can see that they're there. So you always want to make sure to clear checks. But that can be really helpful for creating groups like the ones that I just created and not having it take forever to select everything. So yeah, and I can, tuck this away as I'm working, and then whenever I need to, I can pull that out again, and I can say, oh, this is for the goblin, or, this is for the skeleton. And I have my sets and my groups here, and I can always say, oh, you know what, I'm going to select my real left arm group. Now it's got all the fingers and all the arm controls and everything selected and perfectly, movable or whatever. So yeah, anyways, that's the script. It's my rigging script, the submission for the little summer contest. So yeah.